Brant, we are
Check one,
live,
two.
sir. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
I normally would go through the whole screen, the first screen that we use with the music, and then it pops up. But why
Right.
not just go live like it's Strick and Brant on the stream show?
Yeah, and it's been a little challenging day today, so I've been having some technical issues, so we're trying to work through that live. So if there's some issues, you can blame it all on me.
Well, just blame it on me. I'm over here trying to figure it out myself. But it's always good for us to get together on Sunday nights, man. Like this is a really cool thing. You know, we've been doing this since January.
I know, and we're starting season 2. We got off to a little rough start last week. This week we're just going to be kind of talking about where we're going forward from here. We've been lining up guests all week. I know Strick has been diligently lining everybody up. It takes a lot to produce a show, especially when I don't know about. Well, I know exactly what's happened to Strick and I both. Is I had to go back into work. Pandemic is vaccinated, wanting to go back to work. I had to do a trade show Saturday, and I had to go pick it up tonight, pick up the booth and everything just before this show, so I was running a little late. So, yeah, we're getting back to normal, so we don't have all that luxury of just hanging out.
Yeah, exactly. So big shouts out to you, James Hicks, for hanging out with us. And if you guys are watching this, please don't mind, come through and say hello to us no matter where you are. We want to know that you're watching us tonight. And yes, the real world kind of has set in. People are getting back outside now.
Yeah, today I had to go to it. Like I said, we did a trade. It was a home show. I work at a credit union, and we it wasn't very successful. There wasn't a lot of people because it's nice weather, and I think everybody was outside, but there were barbecue contests and all kinds of outdoor events. So I think everybody's getting out, and good. It's great. I'm glad everybody's getting out. It's just, it puts a little pressure on doing these live shows like we do, because you got to do 2 or 3 jobs, right?
Right. You have to do it all. I saw the coolest Trident gum commercial today. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but I'm sure it's coming around.
Maybe.
That's probably one of the products that you really didn't need during the pandemic.
Oh, but you need now when you're wearing a mask, trust me.
Right. Well, I always say this mask, wearing the mask have shown me more of myself than I really wanted to know.
Me too.
So now, not only other people didn't have to smell your back breath. You had an opportunity to smell your back breath, and that, I have to do better. But now that you are getting back out and you know how bad your breath smelled with the mask on, why not get some gum?
Is that what the commercial was about?
The commercial really didn't do the back breath thing. It was just people getting back outside. It's just people rushing to get outside, and they had to grab their gum to go outside to be around people. I thought it was really cool, and it's almost what's really happening right now. People are rushing to get back outside. Like whatever they can do, they're going to be out there. Restaurants are filling up again. What do we do this week? I actually went to a drive-in movie last weekend. Can you believe that? Yeah.
Oh.
Probably one of the best things. I guess through the pandemic, probably one of the best ways to consume a movie, driving, because you're just with the people in your car. But we have this spot here in Birmingham. It's actually in Leeds, Alabama. That's really close to us, and it was really cool.
I've been to Leeds many a time. We'll have to talk about that. The countdown's getting close. My son actually graduated 5th grade Thursday, but we still had to watch it over Facebook Live because they wouldn't let parents come in. So that was kind of bad, but we're almost done with school. School will be out for us next week. So, we'll get back to normal for next school year. We're waiting on him to get his shot. He's 11 and a half. So he didn't make that 12-year-old shot. So he's the only one. So we're still trying to be as careful as we can, even though we're all vaccinated. We don't want to give anything to him.
Right. Yeah, I'm anticipating a very good summer. Like, I have a lot of dates on the calendar right now, and that being said, we're about to go through this wow ride. Absolutely love it. Thank you so very much for you guys hanging out with us. And I was getting ready for the wild ride, and you were there with us. This is the Stream Show with Strick and Brant, and our job is really simple. We're here to help you succeed. And Brant, man, as we've gotten together, this whole idea of being the stream guys and helping people successfully stream, we've seen even what we do together morph over time, us finding out what our groove is, what's the best way to help people, especially with our time. And this show has just been one of those staples to us working together, and even being a part of Rob Balasabas' show on Fridays. That's incredible. Like, what was it like for you? Because that was probably my third time being on his show. What was that like, hanging out with Rob on Friday morning?
Well, that was pretty cool. Like I said, I'm back at work, so I decided, you know what, we're going to take the time and do that and hang out with you guys. And I guess the interesting part is my wife even watched part of it, and she was like, crazy. You had people from the Philippines. We had two guys from England. We had, where else do we have? You were in Alabama. I'm in Arkansas. He's in Canada. Rob. We had some other people from different places. So it was all over, different time zones all around the world. And I just think that's the coolest thing about Ecamm is, have all these people we know. And I get confused. Like I just turned 51, so I have an excuse. But I have to set different time zones in my phone because we're getting on all these live streams with different people, and it's all, I have to think about what time is it going to be for me? Is it going to be 7 in the morning? Is it going to be 3 o'clock at night, in the morning or whatever? So it's crazy. There's how many, how the Ecamm community and how the pandemic and everything broadened, the scope of people that I work with daily that, they're now friends and coworkers. I look at everybody as coworkers.
Right. So what would you think, talking about the time zones, what would you think would be the most common? Do you think people just either decide we're going to use East Coast time or West Coast time to say when we're on, or what?
I don't think anybody, I think it's, if I'm running the stream, it's going to be Central time, right? If I think it's whatever, somebody does, whoever's leading the group, they have to pick their best time, right? So, you're a day behind if it's someone in Australia, or a day ahead, and, England. So you just have to kind of work with the whole group, But I think for us, a lot of times, like Rob was like, hey, we're going to do this right now or tomorrow at 9 o'clock, and I'm like, oh, okay. So you have to start doing the math and figure out where you're going to be at that point. Because I was at work and I didn't have access to the studio, but we made it work. So, it's a lot of fun. Like we talk a lot, we caught up a lot, and learned more about each other. And I just think it was a really good time.
Well, more importantly, being involved with streaming or in the industry with Rob Balasabas is a real cool thing. He is the ultimate networker and bringing people together from all over the world. I mean, you'll see it. So every Friday we're going to go on. It is 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, man, do the math. I don't know how you guys figure it out.
I think it was, I don't know I thought it was 9 o'clock Art Central Time.
It is 9 o'clock Central Time. You are right.
So it was 10 o'clock Eastern. See, that's why I have.
Yeah, you're right.
What I did is if you go to your iPhone, I'll show you here. Go to your clock. You go to your clock. And I just set up all my cities that are closest or in those time zones.
Gotcha.
So, Cupertino, California, New York. So we got in here San Francisco, London, Honolulu, Sydney. And then I work with a web designer friend of mine in Boise, Idaho. So, because sometimes I'll be up late at night and I'm banging out stuff to get to people, and I'm thinking, oh crap, I just pinged somebody at 3 a.m, and I hate that.
Yeah, you want to watch that.
So I set all these time zones on my phone. So.
Big shouts out to you, Mr. Riley, James Riley. Thanks for hanging out, sir.
Awesome. What's up, Mr. Riley?
So that being said, you guys can check Rob Balasab is out. Please go to his YouTube channel as well. He's vlogging. He's got tons of information out there for you, especially if you are a content creator as well. And he's all over the internet. And Brent, being all over the internet, in order for you to do that, you want to be sure that you look good on the camera. And I want to see if you'll show us this camera rig that you've been working on.
Oh, yeah. So when you talked about us doing different things, so what I've started doing is I've been consulting with some companies to go live and setting up their studios and things like that. But I've also been had the opportunity to get back into video production. And I did video production for many years. So I had to rearrange my studio. The camera that I'm talking to now is an older Panasonic camera. You know, it's an AG150. I think that's what it's called. Interchangeable lenses, 24p. Think it's 1080. It doesn't even do 4K. You know, and it was like $6,000 when I had my video production company.
Gotcha.
But I bought the little G7. Is that right? The G7 Panasonic, because it was the cheapest thing I could do to get to 4K. And I've been streaming with that, and that was great. But now that I'm getting clients, I can't take stuff down, put stuff up. So what I did was I need 4K, so I bought this little rig on Amazon. And it was only $70, and that's really cool. So
that's really good. Hold on, let me pull it up so I can see it a little better here. There we go.
So that's a G7 Panasonic. I've got my Rode Wireless Go. That's one of the version 1s, you know, the older version, but it still works great. So I can shoot with a top handle. I got my French flags, and I've got my little tripod mount here in the bottom. But mostly what it does is it's hard to shoot with a DSLR, and so this gives me handles, you know, to make it easier to shoot with. But the biggest thing is it makes you look more pro.
Right,
because,
right,
you know, you
right.
show up with a little dinky camera and people think, well, what are you shooting with? What is that? Well, it's 4K. You know, it's shooting everything anybody else can shoot with, right?
Right.
And I have years of experience, so it should matter, but that stuff helps. So, you know, and I'm in the process of researching, doing all my due diligence to upgrade my field production camera. So I'm thinking about the Sony FX3. So, but I'm a lot of YouTube videos watching Potato Jet. I know that's one me and you both like to watch.
Yeah, you know I like Potato
YouTubers.
Jet. Yeah.
So just trying to get all the information, and then I'm deciding if I do this. When I had a production company before, it was me and my wife, and we had we had a really pretty good business, and we didn't. When you get into business and you start doing production, it's all about scale, right? If you get bigger equipment, you got to have a truck, you got to have all this stuff. So what I decided is if I do this, I want to be just me, running gun kind of setup, and I'm trying to limit myself to what I carry, what I use, and still get the best product that I can. And I'm really thinking seriously about dumping everything and going with the new MacBook Pro, not MacBook Pro, the iPad Pro M1, and shift to just using LumaFusion. You know, no
Gotcha.
Premiere, no Final Cut, just go out in the field, shoot some videos, edit on the iPad, boom, be done, and kind of get a little system going. So that's kind of where my head's been at lately, is researching all that.
So all of that is good, and I definitely want to shout out the blind guy, his wife, and their life for hanging out with us, man. It's always good to see you guys on the stream show, so thanks for your comment. Brant, let's go back to the rig that you built here. Now, someone, I know that you said, hey, this looks really pro, but you also have, it makes your setup or filming more efficient with everything being on the rig. If someone has a camera, like how from the efficiency standpoint or even the purchasing, what should they be looking for their setup to get a rig like that?
Well, what you want to look for is something like this was, and like I said, I bought on Amazon. It's newer. So I really like newer products. You know, we use the newer lights. I've used the newer all these little stands, newer, you know, everybody's probably bought a lot of newer products, and they're really, really good for the price. Right. You know, so I've got a setup like this for my bigger camera that I spent way too much money for, but everything is so cheap now. You know, you get, I got everything here. You've got the handle here, but it's all these. I'm sorry, hit the microphone. All of these little, can't really see them here. These little 1/4 20 bolts holes around the top. So you can mount anything that you need. So mount your, an extra battery, mount an extra monitor if you want, mount your audio. Because one of the things I found is you just can't, you don't want to get to a shoot and have to rig everything. You really just want to pull it out and be ready to go and not have to fumble with, connectors and all that kind of stuff. So, and it depends on the shoot. If you're doing, I'm not trying to do a $20,000-$30,000 shoot. If I was doing that, then I would have 3 or 4 people with lighting and audio person specifically for audio. We're talking about just me running and gunning and doing some local TV commercials for, the local car dealer or somebody, and trying to keep those prices that are very affordable because, what we found out in the pandemic, and I've been preaching this for the last 10 years, you got to make content, and businesses have not listened, and now they've caught up. They're thinking, man, we got to do this, but they don't have the skill to do it themselves, or they don't want to hire somebody and pay them the right amount of money. They just want to hire, a kid in high school or something. So I'm trying to find that sweet spot where I'm profitable. That's the number one. You want to be profitable.
Right.
Right. I don't want to be killing myself, but I enjoy shooting, and I'd like to go out and shoot some more, 3 or 4 days a week. So, a lot of it is about lifestyle, not just economy or the amount of money.
So let me ask this question for you, because this is a good one from Blind Guy, his wife, their life. Is this a rig that you can strap on? It's a question. Wonder how I can manage it. Is it a tripod? So can you explain, I know you said running and gunning, but it does have the adapter for a tripod.
It does have an adapter for a tripod. So I use I've had one of the things that you like, C-stands, good tripods, things like that never go out of style. I have a really good Liebeck. Liebeck is a really good brand of inexpensive, lightweight tripod with a good video head for what I want to do, because I have a rolling cart that I like to put everything on, like a Stanley tool chest. It's not a tool chest. It's like a plastic, tool bucket, whatever. And I can fit everything in it and just roll in, set up, roll out, be done, throw it in the car, leave. So I really got to be efficient to make it profitable and not waste a lot of time, the client's time or my time or whatever. So yes, you can put it on a tripod. I always carry a tripod. I always carry lights. There's always these things you have to carry. I think too many times I see a lot of people like, I got this great low light camera and I don't even have to use lights. Never. I used to run production for a TV studio, and I would chew out all my guys that went out without lights.
Right.
You just never know, right? You might need it.
You never know what you may need when you go out, and you never know who will come on to your stream while you are streaming. So big shouts out to our guy, Mr. Rob Balasavas. We already talked about what he's doing on Friday, so definitely check him out on his YouTube channel. Subscribe to it, and you'll see us on Fridays.
Now, not just me. I know you've made a big, we've talked about what you're doing, too. You're doing a lot of live remotes, doing band concerts and some other things, and using Ecamm and remote and wireless video. I mean, you're doing some really complicated stuff.
Really complicated stuff, and probably a little bit over my head, but thank God I can always call Brant Collins to kind of help me out through it. So I picked up a job streaming for the local college when they would have their the band recitals. Man, this is really cool. It's a piano recital. So it's a 30-minute piano recital. I actually did a 2-camera setup and streamed it live for them through their page. So I've actually got access to their page through my system, set up Ecamm, 2-camera shot. Man, it was the coolest thing in the world to do.
That's awesome.
And so hopefully when the next semester comes up and even through the fall, as they have more recitals, I'll be able to do that, stream it for them live, or even do some recording for them. Now, the challenge is, Brant, I am great when it comes to working the camera in this setup, streaming, like teaching streaming. If I'm just doing streaming, I am your guy. Now, if I try to get out and do like video work, whether that's somebody said, hey, can you do a music video? Because I do music videos for my wife. I know I'm stepping on the verge, on the edge of my video ability. Does that make sense?
It does. I mean, if you're not used to it, I think, for me, I did live TV production, live satellite trucks, but I kind of jumped in when I was young, and I didn't know what I was doing either. But luckily, I married my wife, who was she has shot for History Channel, A&E. She's done huge shoots. So when I would get in a jam, I would call her. She would come help me out. And watching her, I learned a lot. And then as I made a lot of mistakes. I did a lot of live TV. I did a lot of remote shoots. I'm that guy, right? I'm just like you. I have 5 kids, right? I mean, there was a point where they were all in school, and you can't say no. You got to make that money, right? So
right.
I never said no, and then you just figure it out. You figure out how to do it. And then once you find your setup, that's why like this rig I have is important. You'll figure out how to preset everything and find the equipment that works, that you're comfortable with. I know everybody does Sony. I've used Panasonic forever because I know how to, I know what I'm going to get. I am getting ready to move into the Sony FX3 probably. And, that'll be an experiment for me because, shooting in S-Log and LUTs and all that stuff.
I want to talk to you about that Sony and why you chose that as one to go with. But before I do that, Joanna says, +1 sub and a like. Thank you so very much for that.
Thank you.
And Mr. Riley says the newer products are budget friendly as well, which they are. Are definitely budget friendly. And Rob says, thanks for the shout outs. I mean, come on, Rob. You're part of the stream guys as well. And Lola is hanging out with us. Hello, all. So definitely glad to have you hanging out with us, Lola. And Brant has been working himself. Why not buy me a coffee? So as we're doing this today, if you guys support the channel, you could do it that way. And one of our great friends of the show, Mr. Rich Graham. Rich, how are you doing from Big Productions? And as you talk about the products that you would like to have, and you mentioned the Sony, is there a reason why you would go with this particular Sony over others?
It's about, for me, it's about price. And, it's all about, it starts with, price versus quality. So I know, so my wife is a senior video producer at an ad agency, and she uses the FX5. So she's been really happy with it. I've seen the production that she's done with it. I've seen all the Sony products. I like what they're doing. Mm-hmm. To get to an FX6, like a shoulder mount camera would be $5, $6, $7, $8, probably about $8,000 by the time you get a lens. So you're looking at $10,000. That's fine, but I didn't want to spend that much. I want to be as small and lightweight as I can be. So Sony just launched the FX3, which is kind of like the A7S2 or A7 IIs, however you say that. Uh-huh. Except they put it in a different body, and it's video forward. Okay, so it does slow motion, 30 frames. It doesn't do 24. It's got mounting brackets all around it, so you can mount stuff on it. All kinds of different things that you might want to dress it. Build it up like what I'm doing with this camera here.
Right.
And I think I spec'd one out to get like a Sigma lens, like a generic, lens that had a lot of focal lengths, because I just want to get it as, everybody loves bokeh, but it's hard to do all that on a run and gun camera.
It is.
I already have a Ronin S, a gimbal. So this is smaller, so it would fit on a Ronin S. So that cuts it down there. And I think I could get in around $5,000, so you're getting that. It's a Cine camera. It's part of the Sony Cine line, and I would feel confident using that camera. And of course, I'm watching all of the YouTube videos, people testing it out. But one of the things, we all talk about this we overanalyze technology, right?
Right.
So I have to go back and say, what is my price point? I'm working with a local cable company. They want to do $600 to $800 per video for clients. I've done that in my past. I'm going to show up. They're going to have the script. You're going to get an hour of my time. I'm shooting it, spray and pray, and I'll edit it, add some music and a voiceover. I'm done. Right?
Gotcha.
I don't need a $10,000 camera to do that, right? But if I do get a call for a really high-end talking head, that camera would serve me well for that too. And then I'm always wanted that if I make enough money and I get enough clients coming in, then I'll step up to the FS6, and the FS3 or FX3 will be in the same color space. It's the same company, same cameras, same science and technology. Now I have a B camera and an A camera. So I'd always try. I try not to buy before I have the client.
I love the idea.
I've sold a $10,000 job and went ahead to buy the camera the next day, because I just didn't want to, make payments on something I didn't, you think, well, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And you never do it. It sits there. You don't go out and get business. But if someone calls you, you go, yeah, I can do it tomorrow. Crap, right. What am I going to do?
I get it. And I love the thought pattern with all of this. And I got to say this really quick. I meant to just downright interrupt you. We had a buy me a coffee. So the blind guy, his wife, nice. Their life just bought us a coffee. Thank you so very much.
Thank you very much
for doing that. I mean, that is awesome, man. I when we do this and people support you, I mean, it definitely warms my heart that we have people in our audience like you guys that will be willing to support us in the stream show and the stream guys. And that being said, even more people coming on. Chris, thank you for coming through. He says hello to everyone. Thank you for hanging out with us as well.
What's up,
I can't wait to have him on the show, talk about his setup. I know it's going to be really cool to have him on the show. Let me ask you this question, Brant. You're going out right now, and you have a small client. Mm-hmm. Why not? So I do a lot of work with my iPhone 12, and It has phenomenal color. Records very well. If I didn't tell you I recorded it with my iPhone, you would never know. Why not use a rig like that with some of these? Because it's quick. You have it with you. You can just go set up. You can actually buy a rig for it and, put a whole bunch of stuff around it to make it look really cool. Why not just use that?
That's why I did Vlogmas with my iPhone, because I actually went out and did a test commercial, and it looked great. I mean, I really wouldn't be afraid to do that. Couple of things is, one, I already have this G7, so I'm going to use the G7, sell enough, do enough work to buy the next upgrade. But what I don't like, well, one is just aesthetics, right? You're going to pay somebody $1,200 and you show up with an iPhone. Even though I have 20 years of experience, I've made short films, I've done the 48-hour film festival, it doesn't matter, right? All they see is an iPhone, and they think, well, I have an iPhone. I can do that, right?
You're right.
They don't understand the lighting. They don't understand the audio. They don't understand the scripting. They don't understand these things. And so that's one. Two is I do so much work on the phone. You're getting calls and emails. So that's a different device, right? So I think you have to have a different device and a dedicated device for filming because I'm probably going to use, this is my self-promotional tool. So while I'm shooting these videos, I'll probably be going live on Facebook into this group. So
or at least recording that.
Right. And, recording me to use as promos for my own self. Right.
Right.
So, I mean, I think it's, I wouldn't be afraid to do it. I wouldn't be afraid to make a short movie on an iPhone. It's just the perception. And it sucks, and I hate that, but I've encountered it 100 times. Your camera, well, what camera to use? Is it 4K? Like I had somebody say, was it 4K? Do you know what 4K is? Well, no, but I just was told I need to ask for 4K. Right?
Oh, I love it. I mean, I would feel the same way, Brent. I really would. Most of the time when I'm recording and I use my iPhone to record, guess what? The client is not there.
9 times out of 10, when you see bad video, what you're seeing is, or hearing is bad audio.
I got it. Okay.
So I use a Shure MV88, a $300 microphone attachment for my iPhone. I could buy the rig. I could do all that. So the audio is the number one. But then when you start really pushing that limit and having inputs and things like that, you need, so like this G7, the reason I want to move away from it is it doesn't have headphone out. It has a microphone in. I did a video for my son's grade school. And what I had to do is I have not a Rode, but a Zoom. Zoom H4 audio recorder. So I had to record the audio on that so I could listen, because I can't shoot and not hear. Because you can't hear a bad microphone or buzzing or clicking or whatever. And then I had to marry the audio and video. And I'll do that for a while for now, but I really want one contained unit. The FX3 has, does it have it? I don't know if it has, well, I don't know if it has XLRs. I think it just has minis. But, you know, one of the things you have to start looking for is you have to have these connections, right? You want HDMI out, SDI out. You know, you want to have a monitor. You want to have this or that. You know, if you start building all of these things onto these cheaper cameras, then you might as well just go buy the camera that has everything.
Gotcha.
Right.
That makes sense. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So taking your production to the next level. So we talked about your rig, and so now you have the footage. You want to take that footage. Now you're saying, hey, I would really love just to get the iPad Pro M1 and do LumaFusion and edit there. So what would be the reasoning for that? Because I go to the computer. I'm going to put it in, what did I use? The Adobe product. So I'm in Premiere Pro. So tell me about LumaFusion and how you would use that in your setup.
I like the LumaFusion because it's kind of stripped down. One of the things you realize is the more you move into editing video, the less effects you use. Does that make sense?
It does.
So one of the jokes we'd always used to say is, somebody's learned how to use Premiere because they use 5 transitions. Right. You know, I'm a graphic designer by trade. You only use 1 font, maybe 2, right? And when you're editing video, use 1 transition. I use a crossfade. That's all I use, right?
Gotcha.
Sometimes I'll use a cut, but I'm not going to use the stripies or the wipies and all that other stuff.
The wipes. Come on, man.
Whatever. But I mean,
you got to use the wipes.
The blow up circle and
right.
But when you're young and you're just starting out, you'll throw all that in.
Oh no, you got to do the pull the page. You got to do the page one.
Pull the page.
God, I hate that stuff.
And I guess the other thing that I wanted to do is I have a gentleman I know. He's probably in his late 70s. He taught everybody and not me. I knew him after I was already kind of in the business, but he's kind of the OG film guy, right? He used to shoot IMAX. He used to shoot all this other stuff. You know, big cameras, big budgets, big money. He's still working today because he uses GH5, right?
Right.
And he's like, if I would have had this smaller technology sooner, maybe I wouldn't be so worn out.
Gotcha.
You know, because they were carrying big cameras and lots of gear. And so he really told me, he's like, try to go to this smaller gear because it'll make you, you'll have a longer career because you're not having to drag all this stuff out, right?
Right.
And, one of the things I just would like to be able to do, the way I look at it, the way I like to work. How I like to work is when the pandemic's over, I want to go shoot a video. I want to go to the local coffee shop and I want to sit there and edit it while I'm hanging out with some of my because usually at the coffee shop is all the other creative friends I know. There's a guy I know that does music videos. There's another guy I know that's a music producer or a professional, does like your wife. He's a musician. And, we all before the pandemic, we'd all just hang out. And I just want to be able to carry something. I want to carry this all in a really small backpack. I ride motorcycles. I want to be able to just have a motorcycle, take off, be able to do what I need to do, and not be constrained with having a 1-ton grip truck with the insurance and 2 drivers and loading all the extra gear. Maybe someday I'll do that. But, right now I think the future is, there's a guy out there there's some here in our town. That's all they do. They bought a nice truck. They have the grip. You just rent him and he'll come help you and you don't have to own the equipment, Right. And that's what he does. He's just Bernie. We had Bernie as a guest. That's what he does in LA. He's a grip guy. That's all they do. So, you just have to really look. And for what I really would stress to people is don't look at what people think you need to have. Look at how your workflow and how you want to get up in the morning and go throughout your day, right? If you want to film and go out and come home and put it on your big iMac and edit, and then 3 or 4 days later give it to the client, that's great. When I started in this business, you had to have a $100,000 editing suite because you wanted all your clients to come sit with you while you edited. and be impressed and all excited, you know. But I don't like I hate having people over my shoulder. Right. Because you'll always have somebody go, well, can you do this? And they're not an editor. And then they ruin, you know, it's 5 days more work because they wanted to move one clip a little bit or, you know, and at the budgets I'm looking at doing for people, they're not going to have a lot of input. You know, it's like, you know, you're going to get what you get and it's going to be great. You know, I'm even doing videos now. I did a 15-second spot for my day job on Canva. I did it all animated in Canva. I have a voiceover lady I use on Fiverr and bought the music on Audio Jungle. I had maybe $100 in the spot. It's great, you know.
I think that, you know, as Canva continues to add different features to their offering online, that it's just a phenomenal piece. I do a lot of stuff in Canva, like even video work in Canva. So I had to do a video just the other day, and I needed graphics and all this other kind of stuff. You know what? I could have bought a template, but it was easier for me to go to Canva, build it out, because I'm using Canva all the time. I'm fast and proficient in it, and I just throw in the video inside of what I was doing. It's moving, it's layering. If I didn't tell you I did it in Canva, you would never know, because I'll then take that file and put it into Premiere Pro and add other video components in the front end and in the back end. And I'm telling you, man, I'm just excited about using that particular product.
So if you look 10 years ago, when I had my company, I spent longer than that, I guess now, but you're talking about, you know, $10,000 in a camera, and then you had $3,000 a year probably in just Premiere, right? That was just to buy Premiere. Right. And then you had to rebuy it if it got an upgrade, which it did every year. That's before subscriptions. Then you had to go buy a music catalog. Maybe that was $3,000 or $4,000. Then you had to go buy what do they call them? Digital juice. And that was what we used in television. It would be like a whole folder of DVDs so that you could get all the backdrops and the animations and everything. I figured out the other day that if you just bought Canva and Envato Elements, right, that's probably what both of those, let's round it up to $20 each. That's $40. Premiere, you know, that's $40 a month, right? But that's why one thing, if I go with LumaFusion, it's $40. That's it.
That's it.
I don't have to. Yeah. And Canva, I'm using Canva so much. Now think about this. If you have LumaFusion on the iPad and you're connected to the web and you're doing Canva, you're just downloading it right to LumaFusion, so you can do all your graphics, your lower thirds, do everything in Canva and make it really. And you got, Canva has great B-roll. They have, you know, stock video.
They have stock video. They sure do. All you have to do is search it. The photos, videos, backgrounds.
I will say this. Before I tell anybody this, you have to research what the licensing are. So you can't do a sync license for another client to run on TV, because that becomes a TV commercial. So that's a different license. That's why I buy music from Audio Jungle, because that, you know, it's in their terms of service. Same thing with like, what's the other ones that we're all used to stream?
Epidemic Sounds.
Epidemic. That's for your channel only. That's not for, now they do have a client one. I think you can spend more money and it'll give you those rights. But so everybody be very, very careful about those rights, because TV rights, YouTube rights, radio rights, they're all different.
They're
so
all
you have to really
different.
Look at that.
I like that. Thanks for saying that. And definitely hello to Bishop Donald Oliver. Thank you for hanging out with us tonight as well, sir. And man, we really appreciate the community coming through today. And Brent and I are just kind of helping people out. If you're in this case to where you're taking the next step in what you're doing, we want to be sure that you're thinking through the process. And Donald Oliver would say, Bishop Oliver said, okay, use Canva. So he's actually agreeing with everything you're saying here. I wanted to be sure that I had it right.
So, I mean, if you look at, so let's expand this out a little bit. So you called me once and you were like, I need to do this camera setup and this shoot. And then we started talking about HDMI extenders, and then it was Cat 5 to HDMI and all these different devices. And then you started looking at the Sling Studio, all wireless. You had a chance to use that, right?
I did have a chance to use the Sling Studio. I liked the product. I really did. Now, the problem with the Sling Studio right now is you can't purchase it anywhere.
Oh. But it also had some limitations, right? Some frame rates or was only 1080i. It doesn't do 4K or something.
Well, it doesn't stream 4K, but you can record into it at 4K, and that's something that a lot of other products didn't have. But I will tell you this. I actually picked up the Ecamm 500. I think it's pronounced Vars is the company, and it's a wireless transmitter. So basically, with some of the stuff that I'm able to do, I will be in an auditorium and probably 100 feet away from the camera. So I needed to be able to have a wireless. I don't want to run cables. So I'm trying to find an alternative to running cables. Now, the best way to do it, and I know you would say this, and everybody would recommend, run cables. But when it is not something that you can do, having an alternative would help. And this technology, go ahead.
Well, I mean, this is the good case point for what we're talking about is you're going by yourself. You don't have the time to set down cables, because if you set down cables, then you have to dress all those cables with gaff tape so nobody's trips and you don't get sued and liability and all that other stuff. So wireless cuts that all out, right?
Right.
And then sometimes you just don't have the space or the room because I've done tons of speaking gigs that are in a bowl type theater. You're not going to be able to run enough cable to get to the front.
Right. All of that. So I'm really trying to see if that would work. So let me see what the wireless lifestyle. So I'm trying my best. Now
so I'll show you this right here just for Mr. Bishop Oliver. This I picked up once time. It was at a production house, had a sale. This is a Sony lavalier microphone. So it's a Sony wired. It's got XLR here, and it's actually powered. I had two of them, but one of them broke. It's actually powered by a AA battery. So that's cool. I am wireless all the way, but I keep this in my kit because if you have a problem, you can always bring out the wireless. And where the problem, or the wired, and where the problem comes in is I used to do videos for the Altel Corporation. Altel was, they were a wireless company. They're now called someone else. Someone else bought them. But when I would go to their headquarters, they had so much Wi-Fi in their building, you could not use a wireless system because you would just get hisses and buzzes and everything. That's why another reason I like all the new Rode stuff. It's on a G-band wireless, not radio wireless like the old equipment. But it doesn't hurt to keep a wired backup for when nothing's working, nothing's going right. You can't figure it out. I don't know what to do. The client's mad. You say, screw it. We're going wired, and it'll fix it. Keep you some extra XLR cables and, extra set of headphones and, all those kind of good things. Because you'll learn. You'll learn when you go out and you say, dadgummit, gaff tape too. Just buy
exactly.
Gaff tape.
And what else do you need? You need that. Hey, you had this special name for.
I don't have any.
What's
here.
that?
C47.
C47s. You gotta get some C47s. So big shouts out to Inside the Lab, the PC Tech. Thank you for hanging out with us today, man. Thanks for coming through. He says hello, and then Michelle comes through. How are you doing, ma'am? Good to see you hanging out with us again. And Dr. Oliver says, yes, sir, absolutely. Wired backup. Always be prepared. True. Listen, we should do a show one day just with the mistakes, talking about when you didn't have something, when something blew up. So when we say, hey, do it this way, or it'd be good if you had this, or good if you had that, and there's my man Jerry hanging out with us. Definitely big shouts out to you, Jerry. The reason why you would do it, because the mistakes I would always say, hey, we made all the streaming mistakes. Our job is to help you succeed. That's why we're doing this particular show. We could tell you, automatically, if you have a particular product, let's use the Rodecaster Pro, and you're having an echo, like the first thing you want to do is what, Brant?
You want to make sure that you have it in the right mode, that you have it in the settings correctly. And we did that the other night with a guest, right?
Yeah. So if there's an echo, what's that?
Yep.
Mix minus?
Mix minus. And we had to go through and figure that out on the fly. Turn on his mix minus, and that fixed the problem. One of the things that I've always done is I was a pilot when I was in high school. So to be a pilot, you had to go through your checklist all the time. Then I ended up going into the Navy. I was a diver in the Navy, and I was on a submarine. We had tons of checklists. So when I transferred into doing all this type of work, if I don't physically have the checklist, I have the mental checklist. So
gotcha.
I know that I've done it long enough. I kind of know what to do. But now that I'm getting older, I probably need to start writing it down again or put it in your phone. But there's been countless times I've helped people on the phone. I've helped other producers. I think I've even helped you, DJ. Just before
you helped me a lot, Brent. Just so you know, I'm going to tell you publicly, thank you, sir.
But we just went through the list, right? Did you
right.
do this? Did you do this? Yes. Crap, I didn't do that, right?
Exactly.
And because you're busy. And then one of the things that gets frustrating is you get clients, they're frustrated or it's hot or you're working with a dog or a kid and things are just going south. You just have to kind of be able to go to that checklist and just calm your brain and be like, I forgot to put the battery in. Yeah, man, it's been stupid stuff like that, but you'll catch it. Then you don't look stupid because you don't tell everybody. That's my other tip. If you're out there charging for these things, when you find your mistakes, don't tell. Oh, I forgot to turn it on. Say, oh, yeah, we got it figured out. I got it figured out.
Hey, listen, Brant, we'll tell everybody, don't be that guy. Really, when you're going, this is what I would do, and you could be different. Like when I'm going and setting up for something, I am so very focused on what I'm doing, making sure mentally I am going through that checklist. I'm not the host. I'm not the person that's warm and friendly to everybody. Guess what? People can come and go. I'm the video guy. Like, I'm the cable guy. Listen, I've got to do this. I got to have this set up. I'm going to be as professional as I can. Now, if the client comes and the client asks me a question, I'm going to stop and give that client all of my attention and all of my time. And then I'm going to get right back to it because even the client, at the end of the day, they want to have the best stream, the best recording, the best product. Right. And even that may have to be done even in lieu of them questioning you or looking over your shoulder. So,
well, the other thing you have to realize too, though, is don't forget that you do have, especially when you're solo, is you do have to work, especially doing interviews. So one of the things I tell my wife all the time, she's been doing cameras forever, right? And I told her one time, I said, you're great on a camera, but your superpower is the way she interacts with clients and making them feel comfortable. I've had probably a handful of people I can count that said, she's also a photographer, and they're like, I take terrible portraits. I hate my portrait. And when she's done with them, they love their picture. It's the best one I've ever taken. So how to work with a client, how to speak to a client when they're nervous, because I did this one time. There was a guy, we did this for the Altel Cellular. They would do videos all the time. The guy was going to play a role. So and this was just training videos, internal training videos. He went and he was supposed to be like a spy or something. I don't know. They wrote this weird script. He bought a fedora. He bought a trench coat. He bought the sunglasses. He was talking. He was bragging. Oh, I got this. It's great. And action.
Right.
And you had to work with, I had to work with him. And I had to work with, talent a lot to say,
right.
All right, just blow it out. One of the things I learned from my wife is you make everybody go, just loosen up and just, start talking to them. Sometimes you can just the other thing you do is hit record. Don't let them know it. Just start talking and then move right into the interview. And they're like, I'm ready. Oh, we already got it. We're done.
Right. We're done. Right.
So there's a lot of tricks you pick up along the way. But so you're right, though. It's great if you have a 2-person team, one person to be the handler and one person do the work, because you're right. You just kind of had to put your head down. But if you're a one-man band like I'm going to be, you have to do it all.
Right.
So that's why these rigs come in handy, because I got to listen to the audio. I got to monitor the audio. I got to have the lighting. You got to monitor all these things. And, I've done it. I've done what we call double clutch. Hit record, stop. Hit record, stop. And somewhere in the middle of it, you messed up and you're backwards. And they'll get home, download the footage, and you missed everything. And all you have is video of you walking with the camera.
That has happened before, right.
And you have to call the client. I've even had, when me and my wife worked together, it's like, did you get that stuff off the SD card? Yeah, I got it.
So we have space.
Got it.
Right.
Delete it. Just delete it. Let's go. Then get home. You're like, oh, I didn't back up that project. So now you got to talk to the client and go, oh. So now you have to eat that project. You have to go back and reshoot it,
Right.
So there's a lot to think about. And I know the reason we're bringing this up is because a lot of you are out there doing live streaming that got in, listen to Stephanie Liu, and you got into remote producing, and that's awesome. And you're doing these great gigs. And now all of a sudden things are opening back up and people are like, video, can you come do this? And you want to say yes. Right. But remember, it's a different animal, different equipment. You can, honestly, I'm all for adding Ecamm as being that part of the process, so you can control the scenes and edit live and do that stuff. But those extra cameras and extra microphones and all that stuff, you have to really think about that.
So you're not just in your studio where you can actually touch every camera, where you can get the focus, and you got these big screens to give you the focus, and you make sure you got everything. I'm telling you, I don't know what the part number is for these, Brant, but you got to be sure you have a pair of these wherever you go, because you want to be sure that you can see everything and get everything in focus.
I'm going to mention another thing with that. So one of the other things that I'm super that drives my decisions on camera purchases is autofocus.
Right.
Because 3 or 4 years ago, I had to go to bifocals. I can't focus anymore. I can't focus, it's just, and I get self-conscious. And so I just put it in autofocus. Be done. It's great. I don't need to be, I used to be able to manual pull focus and zooms and all that stuff. I just can't.
Right.
It's just really hard when you have bifocals, because you're looking up, you're looking down, you think it's not, so autofocus is real big for me.
Or you can be like me and just be in denial to need glasses, and I can't put focus either, but it is what it is.
Yeah, that sucks when you get home and everything's blurry, and you got to explain to everybody, call everybody up like, hey, can we rent that location again, because I screwed up.
Right. Right. Man, this has been fun hanging out with everybody tonight. Me and Brant, the stream guys here, our job is really simple. We want to be sure that you succeed in whatever you do. So as people are beginning to, on the low end, starting a new year, summer's coming up, enjoy your summer. But guess what? The Zoom meetings are going to start up again in the fall. Everybody's going to really be doing business streaming and in the office. If you want to level up your Zoom, guess what? We're here to help you learn how to level up your Zoom. If you've been live streaming, you have a show, and things are going well, and you want to go to the next level with that, we're here to teach you that. If you're stepping out with your camera, show them that rig one more time for us, Brant, and you want to look professional, guess what? These are some of the things that you could do to make your production setup go to the next level. So I really want to help you guys.
While we're talking about that, let's talk a little bit about, as we're going forward, we are season 2 is being sponsored by Ecamm, and we have a new segment called Behind the Stream. So what we're looking for you, the Ecamm user, and we want to have you as a guest, but what we want to do is, it's a little bit different than our traditional production review. We want to see the before and after, how you got started and where you are today, the equipment that you used, why you purchased the things you did, why did you use the M50, or why did you get the Sony, or why did you upgrade from one camera to the next, and the audio. We kind of just want to help people learn that they can do it too, and that everybody starts someplace and they keep growing. So if you'll go to the streamshow.live, there's a form there to be a guest. And what we're going to ask of you, though, is we're going to ask for some B-roll. So we want you to actually shoot a little bit of footage to show us your setup. to save us some time, and then you can talk over it. We'll have you on a guest. We'll talk over it, but we kind of want to get a little bit more detail, like, why do you use the MV7? Or I started with the Samson and it was great, but then I upgraded to the MV7. So we're trying to help other people that come into Ecamm see that they can start and not get overwhelmed, and then see where people have gone. Because I know from our crew that we've been with Let's Get Live, when we did the Vlogmas, everybody started with the bare minimum, and then everybody is kind of just keep growing and keep growing and keep growing. Some people more than others. Some people are like, got everything.
Right.
So, but we want to see that too.
We want to see it all, and you can actually request it or send us your information by going online to thestreamshow.live. Again, that's thestreamshow.live, and there's a button that says review my channel, and we're going to change that. So we're not reviewing your channel, but that's the way you can be a guest on our show. Just hit that button, fill in the information, and we'll contact you for an opportunity for us to go behind your stream. It's really cool.
That would be awesome.
It's really cool. So again, Brant, man, it's another Sunday night. The Stream guys have got together on the Stream Show, and we've helped some people. If you want more details on how to get more information on the show or any information about Brant and myself, you can go to our website, thestreamshow.live. More importantly, go to the YouTube channel, hit the subscription thing. I want to subscribe to the channel, the bell for notification. Every time we go live, guess what? You will know.
Well, also tell us about, one of the things that we're doing a little different is I've started my own show. Strick has already had a show. He's like ultra super famous. He's got, he's.
I'm shaking my head, not in agreement, but I'll take that. Also,
no,
I'm going to.
What?
Come on.
He talks on what's the Strick City Live on Thursday nights. You've
That's
had
right.
Mr. Phil Gaines, who was the keyboardist or pianist for Michael Jackson. That was an amazing show. Some of the guests you have are pretty top notch. Like really, the entertainment world that you're connected with is amazing.
Right.
It's a lifestyle show, and I think people should watch that. I'm starting my show. Trying to get back on track to get that done, and I'm going to be covering marketing and technology and kind of all the stuff that I deal with every day on a day-to-day basis, and where we can talk about some of these other things. And I think Strick is trying to talk me into a podcast. Is that still what you're trying to do?
Listen, we're gonna have a podcast called the Stream Show with the Stream Guys podcast. So you guys be looking out for that. It's gonna be something easy. No extra work. I promise you. No extra work.
Well, I just know we spend an hour on the phone every day talking about NFTs or, Bitcoin and investing and all these other things. So we're probably going to take that to a podcast. Because,
we met in December, and turns out that we're birthdays around the same time, and we talk like little girls on the phone. Like, I'm being honest with you. We gossip and talk like little girls on the phone. We want to share that with you guys, so that'll be the podcast. It's Brent and I going at it, and I'm sure you'll love it. So that being said, next Sunday, same time, you'll actually be able to see us on Friday coming up on Rob Ballard Sabbath's YouTube channel. So subscribe to his channel, and you'll see us hanging out with him this Friday as well. Thank you guys for hanging out with us tonight. Everybody that came through, man, we appreciate you. And Blind Guy, his wife, their life, thank you for the Buy Me a Coffee as well. See you guys next Sunday.
See you later.